Welcome back to the channel, guys. So this is a new segment that we are planning for the channel. So every now and then we're going to take a very interesting guitar topic, do some research around it, and have a healthy discussion. Now for the first one, I was having a chat with a friend of mine, and we were kind of analyzing why Strats are more popular than Les Paul. So I wore my research hat and did some research around it, so which made clear as to why Strats are more popular. Now, before we go any further, this is not a Fender Strat fanboy video. I'm more a Les Paul player and I have one Strat. And this is clearly not a video where we try to analyze which is a better guitar. It's illogical. So let's not walk down that path. Now, for the current numbers, Fender did around $700 million of sales last year. Gibson does not announce its sales, but there's a Rolling Stone article which says that Gibson did around 150,000, 170,000 guitars. Now, what I did was I took Fender 96 numbers where they announce their sales and number of guitars manufactured on a daily basis. I rebased that to the current sales, which kind of indicates that they are doing around 500,000 guitars. I know it's not the logical way of doing it, but this is for the discussion's sake. I know, and also these numbers and these sales numbers include many other products, but this is just to have a starting point for a discussion that Strats outsell Les Pauls by 3x. The only thing we're trying to do is analyze as to why. So let's go point by point, and if I'm missing out on something or I'm going wrong somewhere, please correct me and let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, historically, Fender Strat had a lead over Les Pauls right from the start. Les Paul was launched in 1952, made several design changes over the years, all the way till 1960. Then stopped production because the sales were not that enthusiastic. Strat was launched in 1954, continues production till date in the same form with very little design changes, which clearly indicates that Fender was on to a higher sales number and popularity right from the start. Okay, point number two, the players. You're talking about a time and age where good quality guitars were hard to come by. So if Fender was actually manufacturing in higher numbers, it translated to more guitar players adopting Strats as their primary instrument. So you have guys like Buddy Holly, Hank Marvin, who are the early adopters of the Strat. Whereas when it comes to Les Pauls with lower production numbers, and it was Mr. Les Paul himself who was actually promoting the guitar, Gibson maybe was finding it hard to convert the jazz musicians to actually use a Les Paul model onto their shows and recordings and everything that they were doing. So the rock music scene, right from Jimi Hendrix to Clapton to Rory Gallagher, they all were actually using Fender Strats. Third point, the Strats were always more economical than the Les Pauls. And it's not just about the cost. Strats were designed for better, repair capability and transport capabilities. It was a bolt-on neck. It was a much easier production model, which means it was a much easier repairable model. Neck change, neck swap outs, transport of the guitar, everything was much more easier. So maybe that was one of the reasons that Fender Strat always had a better fan following than Les Pauls. Now, this is an interesting one, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys would have a lot to say about this. Let's talk about the sellout era. Now, I have my research here. The Norland era for Les Paul, which was the worst, Les Pauls ever made was from 1970 to 83. But the Strat was sold out to CBS even before that in 1966, and the worst years in 1966 to 80, which was known as the CBS era. But if you personally ask me, I think Fender made fewer mistakes and no fewer experimentations even in that sellout era. In fact, the Les Pauls became so bad that most of the players were actually going and hunting the 58, 59, and 60 Les Pauls. Whereas the Strat players really did not complain, right? I mean, if you actually look at a lot of records, it's the CBS era Strat, which was played by a lot of players, and it's in the records, and it's on the covers of albums. So I think Fender made fewer mistakes even during the sellout era. Another important topic: clones. Now, every guitar company globally, they make a Strat clone, but that's not the case with the Les Paul clone. Now, if you actually think about, a younger musician, a bedroom musician starting to learn, chances are bright that he's going to pick up a Strat clone. And once he or she gets better, it's logical that they go and pick up or aspire for a Fender Strat rather than a Les Paul. So that actually adds to the overall, what do you call popularity of the Strat. Now the last point, little bit of a controversial, and I want your help and your opinion on it. All Strat players say that the Fender Strat is the most versatile guitar. Do I agree or disagree? I choose not to comment upon it, but I want to know your opinion. So if it's the Strat's versatility which contributes to the popularity, what do you think? Now, these are some of the points that I wanted to put forth. So let me know. And also, I would really appreciate if you can give me a few ideas for future topics. Thank you very much.